Quite a number of things said over the weekend between Thursday and Sunday. It's like 3 years, but like they say, one day in politics is like 1,000 years. Again, going biblical, we've seen quite a number of things being said. Again, this tiff by the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and the deputy president on different platforms. Basically, now it seems as though it's a gloves off fight, bare knuckle, and it doesn't matter what is being said, it's being said. And the feelings, the emotions, we can say can be politicking, but I think it's gone a little bit more than that now, whereby we've heard the jabs, we've seen them, and then we heard the reply from the president yesterday where he said, look, well, I mean, he said a number of things. I mean, we'll go over some of those clips, but just listening to what the deputy president said, basically, leave me alone, said, allow me to do this thing. I supported you. It's really my turn. We have seen this bare knuckle, gloves off politicking, and it's a little bit more than that. Let's hear what the deputy president said, and then we can...
Na mimi nataka nimwambie rais, wacha kuniletea maneno my friend. Wewe sukuma candidate yako bwana kitendawili. Unaniongelea nini? Sijui kama tunaelewana. Mr. President, please stop talking about me. Talk about your candidate. Tunaelewana? Wachana na William Ruto. I supported you when you needed a man to support you. If you do not want to support me, leave me alone. Na mimi nataka nimwambie rafiki yangu rais, hata kama umenifanya yale yote umenifanya, mimi ni mtu muungwana, mimi ni mtu Mkristo, mimi sitakuwa na maneno na wewe. Nitahakikisha kwamba umeenda nyumbani polepole na upumzike na uendelee na maisha yako.
Okay. Didn't sound like it was, just a greeting. He was clear about what he felt. And let's hear what President Uhuru Kenyatta said in response to that just yesterday.
Umenitusi karibu miaka 3, kuna mtu amewaguza. Hiyo miaka 3 nimekuwa kwa kiti, si nilikuwa na uwezo. Sasa wakati naenda kupatiana serikali na sina uwezo, ndio niko na time ya kukutafuta. Piga story yako, uza sera zako, wachana na mimi. Mimi nafanya kazi yangu, nimalize. Nyinyi muende muombe kura, wananchi wakiwapatia sawa, wakiwanyima twende nyumbani pamoja.
This is a very different picture from what we saw just about 9 years ago, when they came together as brothers, donning the same suits and,
holding hands
hugging, and shit,
laughing.
sorts of brotherly camaraderie, telling the country that, it's us. But it couldn't be any more different now from what we see today. And the question is, one of these individuals is running to be president of the country. One of these individuals is coming and asking Kenyans to vote for him once again. Does this tiff, which is clearly in the public eye, dock him some points, or does it, give him some? Does it give President William Ruto, or Deputy President William Ruto, brownie points? Does it secure his position in this election, or does it take away because he's actually duking it out in public politically with the president? Does it make things harder or easier for him when we see this tiff now in the public eye?
Are you asking me?
Well, I mean, here we are. Kenyans at large as well.
I think looking at the trajectory of what has been said in different platforms when they go around the country, it's almost like most of the issues, the promises that they make, the campaign promises, they're sort of, they don't have much more to say. And so to keep it interesting, these tiffs seem, they get people talking. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say it's working in his favor. I think both of them, it comes across as a bit petty, but then at the same time, it is important for you if somebody, it's like rap music sort of, somebody says something, you need to respond. Yeah, it's just a bit too personal. And as I saw during the debate, the presidential debate, that was sort of the fighting line, attacking Uhuru. And so it moved away from the issues that we're facing. And I mean, although that happened, it was also important for the questions to be asked, because we never really get to ask these questions. We take whatever we're told at face value. So I wouldn't think it's helping.
You know, the logic that is required to understand our politics is a completely different discipline from the logic you use in everyday life. And that logic is propagated and determined by the people who are in politics. Often when you listen to what politicians say, what you probably ought to listen to more is what they're not telling you. How do people come to an understanding and an agreement so that you win an election together? And then, not very long after that, what is this thing that happens so that one unified front that we saw for the longest time now begins to break down? A lot has been said about the handshake, as though it's the one which broke it down. But if you understand politics, you know that was a culmination. It is not what caused the breakup. The breakup was in the making. And that particular position was arrived at. And usually the things that are not in the public glare, the details of what actually happened and the decisions that were made to take one step to the next, one step to the next. If you look at the players who are at the forefront of our politics right now, they've been at this thing for quite some time now, with the exception of Dr. Wajakoya. Okay? And Maura has been at it before.
He's taken a
Maura has been at it before. Wahiga has been at it before. But perhaps the media didn't give him the prominence he may have needed to show that he has been there. But he's been at it before. Now, if you look at the merry-go-round and the musical chairs that these people play, so-and-so was in this party, left, went to this other party, so-and-so was in this party, left, there will be similarities in these people in terms of their politics, in terms of what they have done. Now, what politicians then do in trying to drum up support for themselves is they will paint the most favorable picture they can come up with about themselves. And if there's anything daunting or anything negative, that will be attacked. The mention of it alone will raise so much heat unless you're thoroughly... This one doesn't require thick skin. It requires armor plating. You will not be able to withstand the heat. Now, what we're seeing now and what is playing out is not that these people fell out. No. It is, what do you do at this 11th hour? What do you say that you think you haven't said that will paint a picture that you think will sell your candidate? That's really what's happening here. Because at the end of the day, if you go down memory lane, who started what and when? Who started personalizing issues and when? It's in the public domain. It's something that anybody can look at and they can see. Who started campaigning before everybody else? Now, the thing about politics is not so much a question of whether you ask questions or not, but whether you know how to ask the questions. Because the truth of the matter is this: is it only the presidency that we're talking about?
No.
Yes. Is it only someone want to... At any given point in time, there are very many things at play. Very, very many things. Accusations, counter-accusations. But the thing that is, for me, a constant, the deputy president is still the deputy president of this country. He has not stopped being the deputy president. He's the deputy president and at the same time leader of a particular party. The president is still the president. The party that brought him to power is still the party that brought him to power, but is now chairman of Azimio. If you look at what we are talking about right now, we are not talking about who wants to be president. In my opinion, we are talking about who has what to lose. That's the discussion. Who has what to lose should they not get what they want?
And if you're looking at this race or this particular competition, is that then in order to get what you want, then you have to go through this process.
Yes.
And if there are things that you're doing along the line which might then dock you some points, then you want to be careful of it.
Yes.
And so this is the question that we're asking, is that this war of words, this escalating war of words between these two gentlemen, and looking at the position that the deputy president is in today, does it harm or help his campaign the next 7 days? will it do anything significantly in terms of harming or in terms of helping his race to the presidency?
Remember, whatever interest the deputy president had and whatever popularity, it peaked a long time ago. What it can only do now is recede. It's not going to peak beyond where it peaked. And remember, the others were playing a catch-up game with him because he was ahead. So, your guess is as good as mine. What do you think is going to happen? If you ask me, he will continue losing ground, not gaining it. The thing about words is that it gets to a point when people stop hearing it and they actually start analyzing it. And when they analyze it, then their own thoughts begin to crystallize. So that's the place we find ourselves in right now.
Well, we want to hear from you this morning as well. 0719-012-600, 0719-012-600. Is the escalating war of words between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto a vote winner or a vote loser for the UDA presidential candidate, for the UDA presidential ticket? Is the escalating war of words between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto a vote loser or a vote winner for the UDA presidential ticket? We're also running a poll on our socials this morning. Let us know what you think there. We'll take your comments. It's SpiceFM KE on Facebook. It's SpiceFM KE on Twitter. We'll take your calls on 0719-012-600. Even as we continue with this today, should Kenyans be privy to this? Even as we're hearing, you had your issues here and there. Is it important that Kenyans know the full, breadth of whatever was happening between the two? Many would argue, CT, you're having this because you're saying, I can't afford to lose whatever it is I have in order to get what I want. Many would ask the question, were they ever together in the first place? Or was it a relationship for convenience to put certain people in certain positions?
Let me rephrase the statement. Who has more to lose if they lose the election?
It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I think. But it's always a unity of convenience, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah.
indeed. Let's take some of your calls this morning. Let's hear from Stephen in Nairobi. Stephen, good morning. Hello, Stephen, good morning. Hello, Stephen, are you there? All right, before Stephen gets with us, let's hear from Robert this morning.
Morning. Morning.
Hello, Stephen.
How are you?
It's Robert.
Fine. Good morning. Good morning. This is Stephen.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you? Karibu sana.
Asante.
What are your thoughts on this morning?
Okay, the escalation of words between the DP and the president, I feel that it is meant to provoke emotions and consolidate people's bases so that they can be able to mop up people into one direction and vote in a particular way. I will look at it from that kind of a perspective. Yeah.
Okay. So to hear them fight like this in public is to make people lean in one direction or another, and it's just for the purposes of that?
Of course. You see, like when you realize when we were looking at the elections for the U.S. and at some point when Trump was trying to bring a certain kind of emotions to mop up, we call them the Red Indians, so that they can ensure that each person goes out and votes. Now, in our case in Kenya, I'm looking at it, you remember in the year 2017 when some people from specific region were mobbing each other, saying like Duraku, so that everybody could go out and ensure that they have voted. So it's a way of mopping emotions. That's how I look at it. And it's not very healthy and not very good, but I look at it from that kind of a perspective.
Thanks for your comments this morning, Stephen. Asante. Let's hear from others this morning. Maloa, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hello, Maloa from Magarini. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How about you people?
Very well. We are well.
I'm very good. I've really missed the voice of Eric Latif.
He will be back.
We pray for the better part of it. Now, according to my contribution, these words are kind of, they're bringing unnecessary tension amongst us. And to some extent, I'm agreeing with our right president, because if you even hear his tone, you know, at times tone talks much.
Right.
I like the tone upon which his points are being brought down. Yes, and I'm also of the idea that even our already deputy president should be in a tone such that even however much you are hurt, but the tone upon which you bring a thing
Yes.
to a people can bring much message than that tension, please.
I hear you.
I think again the tone can be of the interest maybe to bring a kind of a vote of sympathy. Thank you. That's my point.
Thank you very much, Maloa. Robert from Nandi. Good morning.
Good morning to.
How are you doing this morning?
I am good. It's raining,
Yes.
cold, and I have to repeat what I've always said here.
Yes.
That in this country, there are parts of this country that there is nothing like politics or progress. It's just a matter of creating tensions, painting people black, and then riding on that wave to get the votes. And it's so unfortunate that in our parts, mostly in Rift Valley, there's been nothing going on. We just sit back, wait for the politics, and then look for the guy to paint so black that they look like Satan, and tell our people, yeah, this is the guy who has been causing our problems.
And do you think it works?
Yeah, it has been working because our people are not realizing it. Yesterday we were in Eldoret, and people are trying to say that, and the persons who are attending those rallies are not even the locals. You wonder, but when they are told, yeah, the guy here, the black guy here is Raila Odinga, they say yes. Now that has been used before. They are now looking for the real guy to paint black, and unfortunately, it is coming late in the day. And they have identified Uhuru Kenyatta. And there's nothing they're doing on the ground. Roads here are so poor. Everything is just, I don't know. I don't know how we'll get out of this.
Well, I mean, there's 7 days to go. Let's wait and see exactly what happens. Robert, thanks for your comments. Let's hear from Dhiru Shah in Nairobi. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes.
My take on this is, it's the whole cake. They are all together. All oppositions who are in politically are all eating the cake. They are all multimillionaires. And end of the day, 100 people will be died, but those people will be sharing the cake. The president will take 3/4 of cake, quarter will be given to all the oppositions. That is the reality.
Okay.
They are not working for the public.
All right.
That's my take.
Thank you for that, Dhiru. Let's hear from Pastor Gi Tao in Nairobi as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Pastor Katifa Getao from here to the south at a place called Gateway.
Yes.
And I born from Lofori here to the south. Okay, my attitude or my word, I can say this. Where there is a race, there must be a winner and a loser.
Okay.
So during this election, those two parties, or Raila and Ruto, must wait for the election, because we are the one we are going to elect them, or elect one of those. And what I would like to tell them is they have to be satisfied after election. If you will win or you will lose. And we are now seeing the whole country that we must have peace in our country, because we don't want any battle, we don't want any violence in our country, Kenya. So I would like to say that all we need is peace only, and we don't want any violence. And according to my attitude, where there is a race, there is We are winner and a
there's-
loser.
and everybody must
So
be
they have to accept.
Okay.
They have to accept.
All right, Pastor Gital, thank you very much for your comments this morning. We're still taking your
Thank
calls. We're still taking your calls on 0719012600. We want to take a quick break and take a look at what's happening with weather and traffic. We can see you, and we will come back with that.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Very interesting to hear the things that have been going on, the things that have been said in over the weekend, a few days to the weekend. CT Muga Ndu Oko and our guest host for today, Laura Walubengo, with you having this conversation and saying, all right, is the escalating war of words between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto a vote winner or a vote loser for the UDA presidential candidate? I mean, are we looking at things really, really going sour, or does it not matter and they can just have this, public bout of words?
I think I don't think any more can be said after yesterday's response. If it's escalated from there, unless there's some new information that comes out, I really feel like that should be the end of it.
With politicians, Laura.
I'm reasoning too much.
Well, you're setting limits that don't exist in politics. When President Uhuru Kenyatta and Dr. William Ruto became president and vice president and deputy president, could you have foreseen a situation like the one we have right now?
Not at all.
Yes. So this is only in politics.
Yeah. And the truth of the matter is that, unfortunately, with politics, just as you're saying, that you never really know what the underbelly or the real situation is based on the words that people speak, that things can change like that. Let's hear some more of what Deputy President Ruto said with what we got an answer from the president thereafter.
Wachana na William Ruto. I supported you when you needed a man to support you. If you do not want to support me, leave me alone.
Gloves off with what it looks like. We'll take more of your calls on 0719012600. Let's hear from you. Is the escalating war of words between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto a vote winner or a vote loser for the UDA presidential ticket?
The gloves are not off. No. Those hands are still covered in velvet. A presidency with two people, the first term, every presidential outing, every presidential season in this country is best characterized by a scandal or the other. This particular government, if you look at the problems that they had, it was not the bulk in the first term when they were getting along. So one could even argue, one could speculate and say, it's not as though one did not know what the other was doing. This is a presidency.
Right.
Presidency.
Yeah.
Okay? So, if gloves were off, the scandals we've heard of, things which may be in court, things which have been improved, you would have been hearing names being mentioned. Did you not take this? And did you not do the other? And none of that has come out. And every time one points a finger at the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, please understand you're pointing a finger at the President as well. And if you're pointing a finger at the President, you're pointing a finger at the Deputy.
Yeah. Indeed, because it was a presidency.
Yes. So it's both ways.
Indeed. Let's hear from you this morning as well. 0719012600. We'll keep taking your calls. Let's hear from Anthony this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
My name is Anthony. I believe whatever CT Muga has said is very accurate because, number one, for us to interrogate whether it's successful for the UDA as a party, we have to look at where the words are being said from. Where are they making these statements? And as what we saw over the weekend is the deputy president made his statements somewhere in Kapsabet, while his deputy or running mate made them in the backyard in somewhere in Central. Places they already think they have won. So it was not to legitimize whatever they are saying, but to create a star that will enable the guys to show up, but not necessarily give them any more of the votes that they require.
So, Anthony, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter what's being said right now. A decision in the minds of Kenyan voters has already been made. This little last bout doesn't make a difference?
the only difference that it will make them lose votes from the people who have not yet decided whether they want to vote one way or the other. Because the people who are on a national scale will be able to listen to them and paint the picture of where they're actually saying these words and see that they are not doing, they're doing a greater disservice to themselves and to the general Kenyan populace other than gain any popularity.
I hear you on that. Thanks for your comments this morning. Let's hear from others. Brian in Homa Bay, good morning.
Good morning.
Brian, I'm going to ask you to turn down the volume on your radio, please.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Okay, now to me, good morning, I'm a single Brian.
Yes.
It is not about winning or losing. It is about the electorate. To where it has reached, it is now something escalating a PEV we experienced 2007. So I think either of them should ignore the other. It shouldn't be about give, I return talk. I think they are messing it up because it will directly affect us.
How will it affect Kenyans, this particular war of words? How will it affect Kenyans from what you think, from what you see?
It is obvious. It will affect us now. It is now planting something like ethnicity in us. Yes.
Okay, thanks for your comments this morning, Brian. Let's hear from Mercy in Machakos. Good morning, Mercy.
Morning to you.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Fantastic. What are your thoughts on this and what you see?
I'm thinking most of the people's minds are already made up. But one thing I know with the deputy president is he has a way of words. And he's been campaigning all along since even before the campaign period started. And I'm sure with his words he's able to change a few of the people who don't sit down and analyze what is going on and what has been going on previously. So when he utters and he speaks in anger, then there's that one common mwananchi who will be thinking, I'm thinking this Jama is right, the president anamuingililia. But what I think is people need to sit down and analyze what the deputy president says and what the president says and reason for themselves and decide, not on their anger burst. Because I will also agree with Lee, these are political cousins, and after the elections, we never know. They will come back together and they will continue living their lives. So we need to reason and vote wisely, not on their anger burst. Yes.
Thank you so much for your comments, Mercy. Asante sana. I mean, so what? I think we have two things here, because there are some folks who feel as though looking at this escalating war of words in public then has a direct effect on how a Kenyan will vote come next Tuesday. Others are saying, no, not really. The decision has already been made. It doesn't really matter what they say to each other. But then, looking at the other side, CT, is that they're saying it's not really a fight. If it were a fight, we would know that it was a fight. This is just,
The gloves are not off.
Yeah.
The gloves are definitely not off, because there are many things that have been alleged to, many things that have been whispered, things that have been said, and wrongs that we can see. So I don't need someone to tell me. And yet, all these things seem to point to the presidency, many of these wrongs. Now, if the presidency has two people, surely they both must know what is going on.
Of course.
Or what has gone on.
If the light shines brightly, it shines brightly on both.
Yes, it does.
If
yes, it
there's
does.
a stain, it's a stain on both.
Yes, it's like the proverbial rain in the Bible. It rains on both the poor and the rich. It doesn't choose, it just rains. So, if you're talking about gloves off would have been, you would hear with clarity. You, this particular scandal, see you, Yes, and the other one, you think so? What about you? There was so
you did this. You did this.
Gloves are not off. They're just at the periphery, just touching things which are on the periphery, and with the understanding that who knows, they may yet find an opportunity to work together.
Together yet again.
Yes.
Reconciliation is not something
Politicians
that is foreign.
don't seasoned politicians. They don't burn all their bridges. You just cut on the border. You reach, you appear, you give the appearance that you are at the precipice, but you're not actually there. You're really far away from it. But your talk, your tone, your posture indicates that you're right there, but you're actually not there. Not really.
Let's take some more of your calls before we come back to this. Kamana in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very, very well, sir.
Yeah, this is Kamana from Nairobi.
Yes.
Yeah, first I would like to correct, I think it's Muga who has said that the scandals in the first term were many than the scandals in this Uhuru's last term. But I would like to tell him that is the notion that everybody has. But the difference between the first term and the second term is that the government and the media are in bed. Because the scandals, just look at the Uhuru Gardens. How much money has been used? I hear it's close to 15 billion shillings. And that is something that we can't even, was not supposed to even be built by 4 billion. It is not even budgeted.
It was a scandal?
So I think, yes, it is. I mean, 15 billion shillings for a monument that is not helping anybody. Those are the, you see
but
the
is
problem
it a monument or is it a complex?
I mean, call it whatever you want to call it, but it is 15
I mean, what
billion.
is it?
It is, I would call it a monument because monuments are stuff that you build for history, and those are not things that are going to help the country because you can't be using 15 billion shillings to do something that the same 15 we are still the CBC, the Ministry of Education, is struggling to build classes for grade 7 and grade 8. And the amount of money required is less than 20 billion. But we've used 15 billion shillings to do a monument that would have done this in the next 30 years, and it would still have served the same purpose. And that is why I'm saying the problem with this government, the second term, has been doing projects that are vendor-driven. And the other thing is that they are in bed with the media, so the things are not being highlighted. And then we have this notion that scandals are not there. Number two, I would like to talk about the issue between the president and the deputy president. I think I would like to give it to William Ruto. He's a very patient man.
Okay.
If we go back to the government of Mwai Kibaki and the prime minister, we had issues from day one because a small thing would be highlighted and that guy would be very mad. But Deputy President Ruto has been very patient. I know there's a lot of things that he has been pushed. He's actually been pushed to the wall, but he's waited until, like even that meeting that was there. We don't know what the president said because it was not.
If I may just interject, are you aware that you're actually giving us your opinion and you're not providing facts to support the things you're saying?
That is my opinion, and I have the facts. I can tell you, Muga, we have an issue with the CBC. We don't have classes. We require 20 billion shillings. We have a monument that we've built. It is 15 billion shillings. I mean, what would you have done? Assuming you are. Are
you also aware that the Ministry of Education receives the largest chunk of our budgets, 30% of it? And the question you should ask is, what do they do with that 30%?
The thing is, there's something called capitation, the amount of money that is sent to school to fund our education. Number two, there's the salaries for our teachers, and number three, there are also the other infrastructure that we're doing. We're improving our infrastructure for the schools. There are schools in this country that don't even have classes. They still have the mad world classes. Right. And the 86 billion, even the military, we get the amount of money that they get from our budget is equivalent to their needs. You can't say that you're going to give water 100 billion and then give education 30 billion shillings. Where are you going to get salaries from the teachers?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your comments this morning, Kamana. Let's hear from other callers this morning, Asante. All right, Zachary in Nakuru. Well, I don't know that you're in Nakuru, but Zachary, good morning.
Oh, morning, people.
Morning, person.
How is everyone there?
Very well, thank you.
Now, because I know we don't have time, let me go back to straight into the point. I do not know what I would do if I were the deputy president. And let me agree with those people who are saying that the guy is somehow patient and tolerant, yeah? because the kind of shame that probably has been put through for those of us who have been following closely, allow me to say that it originates from arrogance and ignorance, yeah?
On whose part?
On the part of the guy, the honcho now, the big guy, yeah? And I don't know what we would do if, like now, our wife stays with a man, brings up the kids. When the kids are grown up, and now they are working and they are able to support themselves and the parents, one of the parents says, "Oh, this guy was not good."
Zachary.
Up the kids. So, yeah.
You know, the beauty of this show is you're allowed to actually air your opinions. But let me ask you this question. Since you're somebody we've spoken to for so long, I actually get the feeling I know you well.
Okay, thank you.
What do you really know about the relationships that politicians have with each other? Forget what we have in the public domain, but what do we really actually know about what actually goes on?
For sure.
Yes.
Let me say this, yeah? What goes on between them actually, and that is actually what convinced us to go with them, both of them, yeah? But now they go in the house, they say, "Oh, this guy is doing this guy is doing this," and it reaches a point whereby they come to watch their dirty linen in public. Actually, that is their correct picture. Let me say this, yeah? Some of the people have been very vocal, especially from Mount Kenya, yeah? They have been asked, "Why do you go against your own man?" Do you know what they have told us, especially in our vernacular stations, yeah? They have told us that we read arrogance. Somebody is arrogant. We tell him this is the way. Let us sit it down. They are met with utter arrogance. And let me say this. I was discussing just as you are going on with the program, that if in a house, the man does not want to hear the views of others, even the kids who have become of age, that home actually breaks down.
Does any of this,
on the other hand,
Zachary, does any of this affect the way, in your opinion, yet again, that people will vote come Tuesday?
We are going to vote, but let me say this: there was this word or view in the Nation editorial yesterday that toned down that rhetoric. Do you know who is gaining out of this? What do you call them? What? This rhetoric outburst. Most of us are actually sympathizing with the deputy president because the guy in the first place supported this man. And now comes a time that it's my turn. You are not supporting me. You are tarnishing my name. I mean, what do you expect, as a human being, what do you expect to happen?
Can I ask you a question, Zachary?
Do please, Molly.
You have given a good analogy of a family setup between, say, a wife and a woman. When couples disagree and even part ways, does anybody really know what happens between those two people, in all honesty?
We may not care to know, actually, to go into the details.
Then if you don't care to know, then why do you have an opinion on a subject that you're not fully informed about, Zachary?
From the onset, Mr. Mwarim, I've been saying this, and that was my opinion from the beginning. And I told you I'm from Gatondo South, and for the record, I never voted for Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta in the first place because I told people, as the way I see this thing, this is a marriage of convenience. And when the convenience is over, of course, now what we are seeing is actually the outcome. So I'm not surprised, actually. Okay? But on come Tuesday, I'm going to vote. I have my candidate, yeah?
Okay.
But people should not be that much worried because this, from the word go, it was a marriage of convenience.
Thank you very much for your comments this morning, Zachary. Asante Sana. We'll take a few more calls this morning. Let's hear from Mary. Mary, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yes. I would say this without contradiction, that Deputy President ran away from the office. Why didn't he work until the last day so that he lives honorably? And if he wanted both, he should have just created a relationship for convenience, the way they did when they started. And by now, he would be moving without these squabbles. I want to say this. Ruto is so biased And that is not the president that we want. We want a calm president to lead Kenyans to prosperity, but not a president who shouts, who abuses, who anaita wamama majina, huyo hatutaki. Those are my views, and thank you very much.
Thank you
for
very
airing
much.
it.
Thank you very much, Mary. Thank you for those. So, I mean, been taking your comments this morning, even as we get to the top of the hour, hearing what Kenyans have had to say, what people are saying. Do you think that it moves in any one direction because of what we've heard this morning?
Do I think it changes people's minds?
Does it change? I mean, we're looking at 7 days to the vote. With what we are seeing now being made public, does it change people's minds? Does it say, okay, well, no, come on, guys, you shouldn't be doing this? It's not new. They've been doing this for some time now. But will it change so close to the election, the decision that people are going to make to vote in one way or another?
You know, political narratives are just that, political narratives. The deputy president speaks with a lot of energy and vigor. And he speaks in a way that some people call disrespectful, some say is insulting. But if you're to look finely at the things he said, you may not actually find the insults the way they've been presented. Not really. It may be derogatory, but it's not necessarily an insult. Just the same way he could say it, and it could be a term of endearment, but the tone then now makes it sound as though this man is actually being insulting. By the same token, are we asking that, or are we saying that Kenyans have stopped voting along tribal lines, and that suddenly now Kenyans are going to be listening to issues? And then you'll ask, so which are these issues that we're going to be listening to? Both sides have been saying more or less the same thing, just in different words.
That's true.
The one proof that we've had that Kenyans can actually vote outside tribal lines, oddly enough, in large numbers, was when Mike Mbuvi Sonko was governor of Nairobi.
Indeed.
Because he got elected by a cross-section of people. So it is possible. But is that the election that we're seeing now? Is that what we're seeing today? Is that what's going to happen? Because if it's the same thing we've seen before, it doesn't matter what is said. People made up their minds a long time ago, and they're going to continue voting the way they've always voted.
If the polls are the truth, folks are saying 50-50% is
Yeah,
what
it
we're
is
seeing.
50-50 actually on Twitter.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, as much as I agree with you, I also do feel that words play a really big role. They can say something today, tomorrow, banter, or you know, the war of words that they've been having, and it will change somebody's mind, because I feel like there are a lot of people who are unsure who to vote for, and they're just waiting for just one sentiment that's going to land. I like the word that you use, also derogatory. It does sound very derogatory. It's not really pointed at anything. So unless something happens between now and Tuesday, I do think the more they talk, the more they will sway a few people.
Right. Look, in all of this, it's very important. Elections bilanoma. As you're making the decision, whatever changes this week or not, whatever changes between what you've heard or not heard, I think one of the things that overrides all of this is making the vote in peace, making the decision and then sticking with the results of that in peace. NCIC, in a partnership with the Standard Group, is saying that even as you listen to the politicking, as you're listening to the campaigns, as you're listening to the messages, make your decision that will put Kenya in a peaceful state over and above all of this.